the show. Today is day 2 of my meal plan week. I'm gonna be making my broccoli and chickpea Parmesan Skillet, which is on the Tuesday, because it's Tuesday today. Now, my grocery list for this whole week's worth of dinners is posted on thegoodstuff.ca, and I'm hoping you've had a chance to go shopping so we can cook together all this week long. Now, let's dive into this delicious recipe. This is a great vegetarian recipe. It's super tasty, and basically it's just like seared delicious broccoli, some tomatoey kind of chickpea situation, then there's obviously gonna be some cheese, because what's dinner without some melted cheese, am I right? All right, let's get going. So I've got some broccoli here, just a crown of it. I've cut up half into a kind of like big spears, and I'm just gonna chop this one into those spears as well. Now, this recipe works really nicely as well with any sort of kind of crunchy veg. If you had even some squash, that would be beautiful. Cauliflower would be great, but whatever you want. If you did follow my grocery list though, you'll see first off, highly organized. I like to grocery shop the way I walk around a grocery store. So if you followed that, you've already got broccoli in your house, because I gave you that grocery list, which is a delight. Now I'm just gonna add that on into a bowl. And my first tip, anytime you're trying to make a vegetable the star of a dish, is to treat it kind of sort of like meat. So I've got a pan preheating in my 450-degree oven. And it's just like an oven-safe cast iron skillet or enameled cast iron. So this baby is smoking hot. Just like with meat, like a steak or chicken or something, you sometimes want to have that pan, or you pretty much always want to have that pan nice and hot, because that's gonna give you a good sear. To warn myself that this pan is hot though, I'm gonna leave those mitts right there. And into there, I'm gonna add about 2 tablespoons of oil. Immediately that oil is gonna heat up. This quickens the cooking process, and it leaves less time for steam to kind of develop in the oven. So you get a nice golden brown sear. So I'm just gonna add that broccoli on into that pan, and you can hear a little bit of that sizzle, like a little bit starting. So immediately you're getting that flavor building. So add that on in. Now into there, I'm also gonna season that with a little bit of salt and pepper. Just classic salt and pepper. If you wanted to add different spices here, you totally could, but I'm keeping it simple today. Perfect. You can smell that hot olive oil just starting to cook that broccoli. Give that a bit of a toss, just to coat it in that oil and salt and pepper. And now this needs to go back into that 450-degree oven for about 15 minutes, just to start to get seared and delicious. So pop that one down there. And again, you're gonna get such nice golden color on that broccoli. It's a great way to treat your veg. I love to do even crispy potatoes like this, really, really good way. Now, since this is a vegetarian meal, I do wanna add texture, because I find a lot of times vegetarian mains kind of are just like soft, or it's just pasta. So to give this even more crisp and crunch, I'm gonna make like a panko topping situation. So in a small bowl, I'm gonna add about ½ a cup of some panko breadcrumbs. Now, I don't know if anyone's had panko breadcrumbs before, but they are all about crunch, but they're not super flavorful. So we wanna add some flavor into there. So ½ a cup of that. Kind of tastes like, or is the texture of, you know when you get tempura, when you order sushi, and there's those little bits underneath? Those are the bonus treats, and that's kind of what panko's like. All right. Now into there, I'm gonna add in ½ a cup of finely grated Parmigiano Reggiano. You could switch out this cheese if you wanted to, but since we're going kind of for like a parm situation, kind of like an eggplant or chicken parm, that delicious cheese, get in there. Absolutely wonderful. And if you are a watcher of this show, you'll be like, Mary, what about your shaky cheese love? Which I love shaky cheese, but for this recipe, that classic real nutty Parmesan is absolutely beautiful. So that's about ½ a cup in there. Add that in. And now I'm gonna season this even further with a little bit of dry Italian seasoning. Now I had this on the grocery list, but the first tip anytime you are going grocery shopping is to shop your pantry first. If you have dry Italian seasoning, obviously use that. Even if you just had like some dry oregano and basil, you could mix those together and kind of make your own blend. Basically, I just think everybody should have a spice blend that's their go-to to give extra flavor into things. Good thing to have on hand. So about ½ a teaspoon into there. I'm gonna season that up with a little bit of salt and pepper. That cheese is salty though, so you can hold back a little on that salt. A little bit of pepper. And then we're gonna add a little bit more oil. Because panko, again, it doesn't have a ton of flavor. It doesn't go golden brown without the introduction of a little bit of fat. So about 2 tablespoons of oil just go into there. tossing that up. And you can see those little herbs. If you still had some fresh herbs hanging around, even fresh rosemary, if you have an herb garden, feel free to toss that in here as well. Most of my recipes are kind of just like vibes, ideas, something that you can take and make your own, which I think is a nice way to cook. All right, so those crispy crunchies are done, looking good. And now I'm gonna get to work on that chickpea situation. This is gonna bring the protein into this meal and make it into like a full dinner as opposed to just a vegetable side. So I need to use a can of crushed tomatoes. This is something, anytime it's on sale at the grocery store, I'm buying like 12 cans. And when I did not have a car, it was a real pain. I felt like the strongest person in the world by the time I climbed up my 3 flights of my apartment stairs when I used to live in that apartment. Now I'm just gonna add those on into my dish, just a bowl. Even some sort of like pourable kind of dish would be great. And then into there to build a little bit of flavor, I'm gonna add in 2 cloves of garlic, minced right on in. As you can see, a little bit of cheese snuck in there too, and I'm not mad about that. Right? You can never have too much cheese in dinner, in my or any meal. Anytime I get home from work and I'm, between dinner and lunch, I usually eat arguably too much cheese. But that's my own problem. It's all good. All right, so I've got that garlic in there, just that second clove right on in. And yeah, rasping garlic sometimes takes a little longer than chopping, but I hate cleaning my cutting board after I chop garlic. It just smells like garlic forever, and that's just not what I want. All right, now into there to build even more flavor, we're gonna bring our old friend dry Italian seasoning back, add about a teaspoon of that into there. Then for a little bit of heat, some chili flakes. Now, this is totally optional, but if you like a little heat, about 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon of these right on in there. Yeah, really good. Gonna give that a bit of a mix. Season that up with some salt and pepper. Little bit of pepper in there. And then again, for that protein, I've just got a can of drained and rinsed chickpeas. So just add those on into that sauce. Give that a stir. I've got that broccoli roasting. Those crispy crunchies are doing their thing. This proteiny chickpea situation is almost ready to go. Day 2 of my meal plan week, and today I am making my broccoli chickpea Parmesan skillet. First off, it's an absolutely delicious vegetarian meal, but it's also a 1-pan meal, which win-win. Doing less dishes on a Tuesday, that's my kind of thing. Pour a little glass of Tuesday wine, which is the wine you don't feel bad about drinking on a Tuesday. That's a good day for me. Now, I've got that broccoli here, and it is nice and seared. It's a little golden brown on the bottom side. Totally beautiful, right? Like this is a side, great and totally wonderful, but I'm just gonna set that aside right now because we're gonna build this skillet in this skillet. It's aptly named, so that's always a good thing. This is the thing, I feel like sometimes with broccoli, a lot of times people think it's bitter, but when you roast it and you get that golden brown color, it brings so much sweetness into it and it's a total dream. To be honest, I've never understood. I always liked broccoli, even as a little kid. Didn't like cauliflower though. For some reason, freaks me out. I'm now on the cauliflower train though, don't worry guys. I'm here. I joined on, it's all good. All right, so that skillet is still nice and warm. So I'm gonna add in these tomato chickpea situation. But since it's warm, I'm gonna stand back a little, especially if you're wearing white, which I usually do when I'm using tomato sauce, just in case there's any splatter, right? Doesn't that look nice? Now, if you really wanted to amp this up, you could throw in another can of chickpeas as well, but this is perfect for 4. I'm gonna spread that out. And as promised, we gotta add more cheese to this. So I have got half of a ball, about 100 grams of some fresh mozzarella here. Yesterday in the recipe, we used the other half of this ball, so we're using it up. Because with this grocery list, I wanted to make sure that we're using every bit of something we buy. I hate it when I go to the grocery store and stuff goes to waste. So we're gonna try really hard to get it all used up this week. Now I'm just gonna thinly slice this. You can also tear it. Now if you couldn't find fresh mozzarella, just brick mozzarella grated would work absolutely beautifully as well. Really nice and stringy. Fresh mozzarella just feels a little fancier, you know what I mean? All right, now I'm just gonna lay this cheese on top of this tomato chickpea situation. Yeah, right? I'm not mad at this. In fact, I'm thrilled about it. So Now I am gonna season that cheese with a little bit of salt because sometimes fresh mozzarella, it's not the most flavorful. So just a little right on top will be beautiful. Now I'm gonna re-add that broccoli on top of here. And if you wanted to, you can do it kind of that seared side up. So we're getting a little bit more sear on the top this time. But I'm just dumping it in clearly because sometimes I don't listen to my own advice. And that's fine. It's gonna be delicious either way. Now we've got those crunchers that I made, that panko Parmesan situation. So just scatter that all over the top. This is the thing, vegetarian mains don't have to be boring. They should be crunchy and flavorful and full of texture. And cheese, if you're in my house. All right, now this baby needs to go back into that 450 degree oven for about 10 minutes, just until that top is nice and golden and that cheese has melted. That sauce is gonna heat up, the garlic's gonna cook off, and then you end up with something that looks a little something like this. Like, oh man, this smells amazing. Oh, baby. That Italian seasoning smells so good. That looks absolutely beautiful. To serve this up, just use a spoon, get in there. We've got that melty, delicious cheese underneath. I don't know if you can see that cheese pull. Always a dream. Oh yeah, that's a good one. Now that as a side dish to some chicken would be amazing, but again, as is, it is a perfect vegetarian main dish served alongside some nice crusty bread. Maybe jazz it up with a little bit of extra olive oil on top. Little pinch of salt if you want to. I like salt on my bread. And you are good to go. I'm so excited about eating that. It's so savory and delicious. Hey, Mary here. What did you think? Drop your comments below and don't forget to like and subscribe for more of the good stuff.